We have some big news coming in. 5 fresh positive cases of COVID-19 comes to light. This is the big news that we are currently tracking. 5 new cases have come to light from Mysuru. All 5 cases are from Nanjangud Town in Mysuru. Mysuru DC Abhiram G. Shankar confirms new cases. A worker from a factory had tested positive from Nanjangud. All 5 fresh cases are related to the worker. All the 5 are related to a patient. Jubilant Polytechnic. Total number of cases in the state has seen a surge with these new positive cases coming in from Nanjangud of Mysuru. A factory worker had recently tested positive in Nanjangud, following which close to 1,423 workers were under close observation, and now 5 new cases of COVID-19 have emerged from Mysuru. Karnataka has seen a surge in the number of positive cases in the recent 5 to 10 hours, and now the latest to add to the total number of positive cases is from Nanjangud, but 5 more people have tested positive, and 1 factory worker had tested positive of COVID-19 in Nanjangud. Now, for more details on this, I'm being joined in by my colleague Adarsh. Adarsh, now on Thursday, we got to know that a man tested positive for COVID-19 in Nanjangud, following which 1,423 employees of the same factory were under close observation, and now 5 new cases have emerged from Nanjangud. So what more details do you have in respect to this?
Well, Deepak, what we're talking about at this point in time is something very shocking, given the fact that this is a clear-cut case of community transmission that we're talking about. Given the fact that yesterday also we discussed as to how one person from one of the factories, pharmaceutical factories in Nanjangud area of Mysuru had tested positive for COVID-19, and because of that, because he went ahead and worked in the factory before the lockdown was enforced for quite a while, and a lot of his colleagues might have come in touch with him, and that is what we speculated yesterday, and it has in a sense come true at this point in time. And yes, you have 5 more cases being reported from Nanjangud, the same factory that we are talking about. So it is a clear-cut case of community transmission that has come into the fore, and it remains to be seen when you're talking about a factory which has a strength of 1,432 employees. It remains to be seen as to whether 5 is the only number or whether it would really shoot up in the coming days. But what's more worrying is the fact that these 5 employees who've now tested positive for COVID-19 may have in turn come in touch with quite a few people, right from their family members to people probably on the road, maybe a vendor, a grocery store owner. So they might have potentially, in a sense, transmitted this virus to several people in the area. So realizing the situation, realizing the potency, the intensity of this situation, you had the Mysuru DC also ordering a complete lockdown. Now, Nanjangud is in itself an entity. It's almost like that. There is no entry or exit into Nanjangud. There's a solid lockdown, and every single person in the area is literally being watched and eventually will be screened to ensure that this really does not really spiral out of control going forward, given the fact that you already have 5 people now testing positive, and it remains to be seen who their primary and secondary contacts really are. So coming down to what really has happened on ground, it is a clear-cut case of community transmission. Up until now, we spoke about how there are at least 3 cases in the state or in the country, perhaps community transmission related. Now this easily is the 4th. And this also is really confirming our worst fears, that community transmission stage 3 was in a sense inevitable, and it is coming. You even had Deputy Chief Minister Govind Kajol this afternoon go ahead and speak about how the country has already entered stage 3 of COVID-19, that of community transmission. And this particular incident that we are reporting at this point in time only goes on to add to that very community transmission. So it is here, And the fact that we are in stage 3 community transmission requires us to be all the more careful and maintain that social distancing, which is very important given the juncture. And it comes at this time where you already have a lockdown in place, so you just do not have to do much. Continue with the lockdown, ensure you're at home, and take all of those precautions, because you may never know as to where it is really coming from, because a lot of time has already passed, and you're talking about 5 individuals who've now tested positive. So nobody knows as to how many people he would have come in touch with. So it's in a sense good that lockdown is in place, because that goes on to restrict the spread of COVID-19 even in this particular case. But yes, lockdown is effective only if we ensure that it is effective by really staying at home, Deepak.